Hello there and welcome to Racehorse Movies, the show where two film fans take a racing sheet from last week, pick a random horse name for each other, and from that name pitch a movie. In the pitch, to flesh out our movie ideas, we may include such things as stars, directors, composers, best boys, and stable boys. Maybe not that last one. Hoping none of our ideas have to be put behind a screen and shot. The sky's the limit, the horses are on the starting line, the jockeys are frothing. It's time for Racehorse Movies.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Racehorse Movies. I'm Graham Thomas, and I'm joined by my very good friend, Mr. Luke Searle.
Hello there.
How are you today? You good?
Oh, I'm very well, thanks, man. How are you doing? You good?
I'm all right, actually. It's been a good week, very, very busy, and it's led up to this wonderful moment where we get to pitch some racehorses to each other, make some movies.
Been looking forward to it myself as well, man. Yeah. And was this busy socially? What have you been up to, man? You've been having a nice time?
I have been having a nice time. It's a bit of social, a bit of work. I actually had an away day with the team yesterday.
Is this like paintballing nice. Or?
Yeah. Well, we didn't actually do paintballing. We did clay pigeon shooting and go-kart driving, racing. They were racing. I was driving. Do you know in the scene in Roadhouse when Ben Gazzara, the bad guy, is driving down the road, his introduction, and he's just like casually weaving across the lanes because he just don't give a fuck. That's me on a go-kart race.
Was that intentional, or were your driving skills such that you drifted, whether you liked it or not?
I think it was a little column A and a little column B. I can't drive a car, so it's all a bit alien to me. And so I went round and I thought, oh, I'm going fast. This is the pace lap. Like, this is like not even the start of the race. I thought, oh, this is fast. I can feel it in my forearms. Oh, this is good.
It's like shaking like you're in first man at the start or something
exactly,
like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I felt good. And then the race started and everybody zipped past me. And I never really got over that. And I obviously came last. I got lapped twice, I think. Came last and couldn't do the second session because I got horrendous motion sickness. Anyway, that was what I've been up to. What have you been up to?
I've also been quite social, actually, man. It's been lovely. I've had a nice full diary for the last few evenings. It's which is going to brutally impact what I have watched this week, which we're going to get to in a second. So apologies for that, but I'm not apologising for going out having a lovely time. It's been really nice to reconnect with a few people, head out for some food, a few nice drinks when I maybe shouldn't be on a work night, man. That kind of illicit glory that I haven't done for too long, man. So it's been very nice indeed.
Anything watched, consumed? Any things to tell us people about? Any recommendations?
Yeah, well, I will. I guess I'm going to start with like my. I'm really sorry I did this, Graham. Please don't judge me, anyone. I think I'm going to blame vulnerability. Maybe a slight hangover, going 2 nights out on the trot or something like that. But
can I guess? Can I guess?
Yeah, of course.
Did you watch Black Adam? That's a yes or no, isn't it?
It's a no, but I'm going to caveat it because I'm a people pleaser, so I don't want you to feel bad. No, I did see Morbius last year, and that was anyway. We haven't got enough time to talk about what Morbius was, but no, it was the Black Adam. It was not, but Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has starred with the actor in the movie I watched, Kevin Hart, quite a lot. And for some reason, and there's literally no excuse, and I knew I wouldn't like it, but I'm going to entirely blame John Travolta, which is my go-to blame for everything that happens, actually. I watched Die Hard.
Okay, I have never heard of that. Is this in preparation for your horse?
No, I have no excuse, Graham. I have absolutely no excuse for watching this film, other than the fact that John Travolta was in it, and I wanted to see what he looked like now and what he was up to. Genuinely.
What does he look like now?
He looks... Well, weirdly, the only note that I wrote down I think I watched about 30 minutes of this. I did not complete it, so I shan't judge it either fairly or unfairly, I guess. I will. It was really not good. But the only note I have written is virile.
John Travolta was virile, Kevin Hart was virile.
John Travolta, apparently. I think I don't understand the meaning of the word, or I got far too excited at just seeing John Travolta back on screen. But he was looking...
potent.
He did. He did. He looked full of vim. He was in this absolute nightmare of a movie, but, you know, I'm in a happy space. Had a happy week, so I was like, I'm going to celebrate just seeing John Travolta.
I saw a John Travolta film as well.
Oh!
I saw A Civil Action. It came out in 1998. Steve Zalian. It's a courtroom drama, but like a courtroom drama that isn't the underdog, not spoilers, that the underdog wins against the odds and takes down the big corporations.
It's not a Brockovich.
No, it's a bit more, even though Brockovich was a true story, it's a bit more realistic in the way that the sides are playing each other, and John Travolta and his team, even though they're representing the good guys, for want of a better word, the real people, obviously they are good guys, their motivations for doing so, it's about plea bargaining, basically. And they're personal injury lawyers, so it's a bit shady and a bit murky, their motivations and stuff. It's quite good. It's not amazing. It's quite good.
Has he got is Sidney Pollack or someone like that in there in his team, or
William H. Macy?
Oh, that's already. I'm pretty interested, man. It'd be nice to go and see a '90s Travolta. Because what was the President movie that Travolta did around then? Primary Colours, I think it was, wasn't it? When he did a Bill Clinton-esque impression. I believe so, yeah. Because there were two around the same time, and I think Primary Colours was his one, and it might have been Sorkin, if I recall semi-correctly.
Yes, you're right, John Travolta. Well done. Sorry, I wasn't doubting you in any way.
No, it's always good to check these things.
Well, speaking of getting things wrong, I should apologise for last week. I made a bit of a mistake when we were talking about The Omen, which I shall come clean about now. I said that I think in Omen 3 there was a very, very famous, iconic scene that has gone down in history as one of the great scares or one of the great moments in cinema history. It wasn't, in fact, in The Omen 3. It was in The Exorcist 3. So I hang my head in shame and I apologise profusely. So sorry about that.
I thank you for your honesty. I also thank you for making me want to watch another horror saga.
Yeah, I saw my last film that I see before we get into it, because it's been on my list for years and years and years, and it's actually come around the cinema a few times, the Prince Charles, but I've never been to see it, and also Exorcist Link, a film called Sorcerer, directed by William Friedkin. Yeah.
Beautiful,
have you seen
man.
it?
Yes, I have, and it's absolutely amazing. Film. Yeah.
It's so good.
Is that a Tangerine Dream scored?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Yes. Yeah.
It's very rare that I do this in movies. I do it with music sometimes, but it's very rare that I will stop a film and rewind an entire sequence and watch it again.
Wow. Was that the
bridge crossing sequence? It's amazing. I don't know how they did it. I really don't know how they filmed that.
Probably just by doing it for real, because it was the 70s and it was William Friedkin who's firing off shotguns all over the place and goodness knows what else kind of a thing, man. Yeah, it's because that's Roy Scheider, is it?
Roy Scheider, yeah, that's right. If anyone out there is interested, the Sorcerer, it's a 1977 action thriller, I guess.
Definitely thriller.
It's kind of a even though William Friedkin denies it, is clearly a remake of The Wages of Fear.
Yep.
So a group of 4 hardened criminals with nowhere else to turn are kind of rounded up and assigned a task to drive trucks filled with very, very unstable nitroglycerine from point A to point B. That's pretty much it.
I mean, let's go, man. Come on. How can you not want to watch that?
Ooh, that was amazing. Right, well, anyway, that's a lot of talk about driving, shooting.
We loop back into driving to finish off what we've done, man. Seamless.
All right. Should we pitch some movies?
Better do some horses, man. What's going on?
Let's do some horses.
Right, okay. So, last week we swapped some horses. What horse race was this in? I think it might have been up in Newcastle, if I'm not mistaken.
We're at the 7 a.m. in Newcastle. I gave you One Hart.
You gave me One Hart. You did indeed. One Hart, which is Hart, like the animal in it. Yeah. And in return, I gave you Dark Side Thunder.
Yes, you did.
So who's up first? Who's going to pitch first, man? Who did first last, so to speak?
Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first? You go first, because I've got a surprise.
Okay, let's bring up the gun, the Chekhov's gun. So you're going to spring something on me, yeah? Okay, all right, fair enough.
Okay, all right. You're going to go first. So from this 7 a.m. Newcastle, this is One Hart, Hart.
Okay, so I thought that I should lighten things up a little bit. It might not sound like it's light to start with, but I promise this is me lightening things up.
Okay.
There's no
it's not a Herodot
murder.
There's no murder.
There's nothing like that. I promise. There's not even any violence. I don't think.
Wow. In between in between last week and this week, have you fallen in love or something? Like everything's roses now.
It's been a good week. All I'm saying, man, it's all groovy. So
I saw some friends, I had a pint, and now child death is not on my mind.
Literally all I need.
Okay.
So I thought I'd go for, well, we'll find out. We'll see what I'm going to go for, man. Right. So One Hart. So this is about Bobby Alexander. And we meet him on his worst day. Now, I know I said that I'm starting positive and this is really happy, but, you got to start from down to get up, man.
Yeah. How old is Bobby Alexander? He could be like 6 years old, and his worst day is, pooing his pants at school. Anyway, Bobby Alexander.
We meet him on his worst day. We're introduced to Bobby with a nice panning shot over some beautifully framed photos that look like some quite serious news events. And we sort of like see a little signature at the bottom, Bobby. We get the picture that he's probably a talented dude. But as the camera pans across, we see the quality of these photographs starting to not dip, but become far more commercial and quite advertising. And we start seeing some pretty famous people pouting and looking all beautiful next to some Calvin Klein perfume or whatever the heck it is.
Yep, it is.
He's lost his way slightly. He started off with some really nice sort of candid city shots, all of that kind of stuff. And as we slowly pan, it gets more gaudy, it gets more disgusting, and allowing us to slowly journey into his lack of self-care. There's piles of clothes all over the place, a laptop with BBC News 24 playing on a loop, and 1,000 unread emails, half-smoked cigarettes kicking around in cans and ashtrays and all that kind of stuff, washing up all over the place, and then eventually the crumpled fetal shape of poor little Bobby.
It's a laugh right already.
Yeah, see how good this is, man.
It's really light, yeah.
So he gets up, he's woken up with a shock, he's clearly late, he's tripping over beer cans with his arse out like a shit rigs. His shoelace snaps and he hits himself in the face. The bus soaks him through, the train's late, blah, 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 all of that.
Tom Waits is the bus driver.
Yeah. Get on board. Surprise cameo. Yeah.
Double fare. Recurring.
So he gets to the shoot, and we just see a little montage of another of many days that we can imagine he's had of just taking pictures of useless rubbish that mean nothing to him, puppies and toilet rolls and cleaning products, and every now and again a really nice, attractive celebrity. And it turns out that he is photographing a big Hollywood star at the end of the day, surrounded by a pack of wolves trying to sell some sexy perfume. He falls over in a bunch of wolf shit, and that's kind of it. He's had enough, and he gets up and he's just like, what the fuck am I doing here? What the fuck are you doing here? To the star who's been quite happily sat there preening himself and being told he looks all marvellous, and he just completely loses his shit, and then he's out. He's gone. So Bobby goes back, he drinks, he looks for a new job, he looks for something, he looks for any kind of hope, and all he finds is a little wildlife photography competition advert that's sort of like a nice week's workshop up in the middle of nowhere in Scotland for him to go to and have a bit of a retreat kind of a thing. And he thinks, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reconnect. I'm going to find myself a little bit more. So he heads on up. All of the journey up there, he's just getting cancellations. He's slowly getting taken off the books. He's slowly getting all of the confidence that he thought, yeah, I'm going to go get some lovely pictures. This will be amazing. This will save me. That's slowly worn to a tiny little nubbin. So when he arrives, the first thing he does, instead of going to the pub to meet the other contestants, he goes straight to the offer. He gets himself a load of booze. He goes back to his Airbnb, smashes the lot, and after a bender of a couple of days, wakes up, or is woken up by the owner and the landowner of the Airbnb, this big, gruff, extremely angry Scottish man who, before waking Bobby up from the pit of his own filth, we are allowed to see him have a very sympathetic gaze down towards him. And he gathers himself, chucks his tea all over Bobby. Right, what the fucking hell have you been playing at, man? And from then on, Bobby is tasked with helping fix up the Airbnb and helping redo some of the damage that he has done over the last couple of days. And that is instead of him having to pay any bills. And that is the arrangement he comes to, because he hasn't got any money coming in, because he spent the last of it on this little trip up to Scotland. During the course of helping him out over a couple of days, he's trapped in a big old field surrounded by cows, as one is normally, as normally happens when one is out in nature in a field full of cows. They will flock to you. He gets rescued by Julia, who he's this lady in the corner of the field who waves them away and brings up the cows to her, and in between they manage to work out, and he's covered in cow shit. Not the first time he's been covered in animal shit over the last few days.
It's a theme here.
And he's helped over the fence. She's got a camera on her, and she is there for the competition as well, man. So it's a nice little meet cute between the two of them. She asks him, what you doing here for a start? I assume it's not rolling around in cow shit and screaming for help. He's like, no, okay, fair enough. What are you doing here? I came up for the competition, actually. Oh, right, so why are you helping this angry old man? Why are you not doing that? You should come to the pub later. You missed yesterday or the day before, but there's still time. So he goes down there, starts to slowly ingratiate himself with the people there, man, and starts to let himself relax a little bit and enjoy the company of some fellow enthusiastic people as much as he hates to admit it, kind of a thing. So then we follow his bonding with the team, and then he is teamed with Shane, who is another latecomer. And Shane is a very blowhard, slightly slimy, slightly locked in. He knows everything. He has taken a photograph of everything, any animal you want. He has previously photographed, be it in the Serengeti, be it wherever, man. He has done it all before. Very confident. So him and Shane get paired together. The first thing, and they're like, right, you're off tomorrow. You're going to do we're doing some workshops. You're going to be working together, guys. So you pair up. Shane, you go together, man. And he's like, oh, for Christ's sake. And the first thing that Shane says is, I spent 7 days laid in the tundra waiting for an Arctic fox to pop its little head out. I didn't even go wee-wees. You don't stand a fucking chance. I'll see you in the morning for the otter shots. And that's his introduction to Shane.
That's such a badass thing to say. See you in the morning for the otter shots. Later.
And so we start getting, despite himself, Bobby and Shane, they start to bond a little bit, but Shane is continuing to be full of malarkey and saying, even to the point of saying he instead of I in some of the anecdotes he has, but they're getting on okay, man. Bobby is also starting to bond with Damien slightly more, the landowner, who one night when they are having a nice little drink after doing a lot of work, he says, I couldn't give a fuck if you win this competition or not, but if you want some beauty, you can go out to this very remote place to see an extraordinarily beautiful beast with antlers like some of those trees you did a piss poor job of cutting down for me yesterday. He's like, what's that? He says, I know where there is a beautiful heart, and I'm pretty sure that whether you get a picture or not, it's something that you need to see, and it'll do you some good, lad. Shane gets a wind of it. Bobby wants to prove he can still do art. He's wanting to chase the wrong thing, which is self-satisfaction, and proving that he's the best thing at this and the best thing at that, because he doesn't feel like he's much at anything at the minute. And so he sets off on his own, leaving Shane behind to go and get this picture of this beautiful heart. And as he is, he's spotted by Julia. Julia follows him on his way, and they notice that Shane, true to Shane, is following them, refusing to talk or interact, but just following at half a mile back, kind of a thing. And so they go out into the wilds. It's a big old storm. Everyone gets lost. Things come to a real head with Shane. Bobby calls him out, says, you're full of shit. I don't know what you're talking about. Ends up chucking his camera bag off into a gorge in an absolute horrible fit of nastiness, like we kind of saw him at the start.
Chucking his own
He chucks Shane's. He takes Shane's. You're full of shit. And this is bollocks as well, man.
Oh, so he kind of just reverts back to type.
Yeah, unfortunately.
After all that growth he's kind of done, he just has a stumble.
As he does this obviously sets Shane off because he hasn't done any of the things he said he's been doing. Poor bugger. That was his dad. And it's his dad's camera that he's taking along with him. And it's got film reel in it that has got a lot of shots that his dad took before his dad passed. And he wanted to finish off that reel, actually. And now you've just thrown it down into the gorge, man. And like Shane is inconsolable. Julia's absolutely disgusted, man. And Bobby can't do a fucking thing. There's nothing he can do.
Does Julia and other people, does Julia know about the camera? Everybody knows about it except for Bobby.
I don't know. I'm not sure whether the full everything comes out of Shane at that point.
Okay. We'll come back to that point because we can develop it.
But that is what occurs. They walk back, finally find their way back. They haven't seen a fucking heart. They haven't seen anything, man. And they part. There's nothing he can say to be like, oh yeah, I'm really sorry about that, by the way, mate. Or it's game over, man. So he goes back. And this is where he has the chat with the landowner, our beautiful, brusque, nasty, but not at all nasty, very wise, lovely landowner, gives him a bunch of advice and said, well, you can keep on doing this. And I've kept on doing this for a long time, man. And that's why I'm up here. And you don't want to be continuing to do this. I don't think you do, because you work very well with me. I can see there's glimpses of happiness in you, man. And you've been getting on really well when you don't get in the way of yourself. And Bobby wakes up and decides that actually he should continue to right some of the wrongs that he has wreaked upon the village in the couple of days that he was having a nice little bender. He starts to explore it more, open himself up more, and during that he finds that he's actually quite enjoying taking pictures of the village, and he kind of forgets about the competition that's barreling along in the background, man, and he starts to just find his own pace and find his own happiness just doing what he did originally, and starts to really make everyone else happy because he is happy and he is taking photos of them and they absolutely bloody love it, man. And he's giving them away, and he eventually decides to like put on a nice sort of mini exhibition or whatever to thank everyone and show everyone the beautiful pictures of them he's taken. But that still doesn't make up for the fact that he still feels completely awful about Shane. So he goes back up to where they had that horrible fight. He climbs himself all the way down that gorge, cursing himself every inch of the way, obviously, for being a fucking idiot, because he's probably about to die. He manages to pull back the camera bag, and he takes it back with an apology. And look, Shane, man, if you want to, we can all go out. I think this still works. It hasn't got completely bashed up, man. We can still go out together. Let's get you that picture to finish off what you wanted to do. And I'm just incredibly sorry, and I'd like to make it up for you if you are up for that as well, man. So Shane happily agrees, and the three of them go back into the world together. Well, Shane's a really nice dude. He's just really sad. He's just very sad, and was putting up a lot of defences beforehand that made him seem, And so the three of them go up, and they, of course, encounter the beautiful Hart, and together, watching Shane take the picture, they enjoy the absolute majesty of it for as long as it allows before it runs back off into the nowhere. And they go back, and Shane, of course, wins, and Bobby himself stays and continues to live in the village where he has found his happiness again. And Julia does not stay with him because he's a fucking mess. And she says, and he says toward the end, like, you know, look, I'm feeling good. I've done this, I've done that. And she's like, yes, you are. And yes, you do. And yes, you seem to be. And I'll talk to you in a year, man. I'll see you in a while. If it's right, we'll see each other. And so it's kind of a bittersweet parting, but he completely understands it as well, because he knows he still needs to complete himself up there or whatever, man, so to speak. And that's kind of what I was thinking for One Hart.
That was lovely. That's really nice, man. I liked One Hart a lot.
I would like it to be like Detectorist-y.
Yes.
Have that kind of a vibe, man. I was thinking casting-wise, maybe like Rafe Spall.
That's exactly what I've only got one. Rafe Spall for Bobby Alexander. 100%.
Fantastic. Amazing.
Yes, we're in. One shot, one kill. Yes.
Reece Shearsmith, I would say, for maybe Shane, or...
That's a good shout. For Shane, I've got Aidan Gillen.
Oh, yes. Yeah, because he can do that smuggy, arrogant...
when you described him, I kind of thought of Shane as maybe almost like not necessarily a city boy, but somebody who's already done a bit well for himself. Like he's got a really top-end Range Rover. Like he's prepared, like all that kind of all gear and no idea look about it. Although you do find out about the camera and everything like that. Even though you might think that his stories are bullshit about being on the Kilimanjaro or whatever, but you're not quite sure. They could actually be true, and he is actually that adventurous.
It's not clearly bullshit. We're sort of led to believe that it's mainly Bobby's own cynicism that is him saying, like, no, you're not that good. No, that's bullshit, mate. You're an absolute liar, that kind of a thing. Well, Shane himself presents it extraordinarily convincingly, bar the occasional slip-up, as he and Bobby bond more.
So the story is from Bobby Alexander's point of view, Bobby's perspective.
Yeah.
So whenever he sees Shane's interactions with people, his own snark creates the narration in itself that this guy is just a a poser.
Yeah, he's getting on his arse because everyone's
really,
getting on his arse.
Yeah. But really, if he were detached from himself and he just saw the situation it was, Shane's just actually a really nice guy, really engaging with people, and just is representing all the things that Bobby isn't or couldn't be.
Yeah, and he's
actually a nice guy.
And Shane himself is representing the things that his father did as opposed to the things that he did. But that is his only crime is the love and sadness he is trying to work through at that same time. And that's the way that he's chosen to do it. And he doesn't do it in an overbearing way or anything like that, apart from to Bobby.
What sparked Bobby's decline originally? What was his ghost? Maybe I should explain to the listeners what the ghost is. So the ghost is the thing that haunts the main character. So the perfect example of that would be in Casablanca, how Rick, Humphrey Bogart's character, fell in love in Paris and they had the love affair and it didn't work out and she left him and it was horrible. And you find that out throughout the film, but that's the reason for why we find him in such a cynical, bad place. That's the thing that drives him up. That's what they call the ghost, which needs to be exorcised throughout the narrative of the film. So my question to you would be, do we have a ghost or something that sparked the decline so that the reason we meet Bobby when we meet him is laid out to us either at the start or throughout the film? Do you know what that might be?
Well, I didn't want to do breakup because that was obviously the first thing I thought. And I was like, well, that just wasn't like Julia potentially is up there because of a recent divorce, which lends to the fact that she is like, no, mate, I'm not gonna be with you now, or any of that kind of malarkey.
Is it just a general professional malaise that he's just taking these corporate jobs?
I feel like it's the fact that he's just constantly done that, like hinted by that panning shot in the opening when we're seeing the decline of his art.
And then tying this in with, I think that the people should know about Shane's camera.
Yes, thank you.
And Bobby shouldn't. So when he does do it, it's really fucking shocking to everybody.
Yeah.
And that rather than...
Because why would you get the exposition dump afterwards? To cut that moment. Yeah.
So what you could have earlier on is in a bonding scene in the pub, and maybe Shane starts to try the story and to cut him off or to reinsert himself in the group around the table. Bobby gives him this story, like people always do. Oh, that reminds me of... And then they just talk about themselves. And then Bobby could talk about his ghost. Bobby can say, he can show them a picture on his phone and say, this was a picture I really loved, but then I sold it on Shutterstock or whatever, and it just became this huge... Like maybe he did sell a picture for a stock image or something, and for some reason that picture went viral or just suddenly was everywhere, and he just got a ton of money and everybody wanted that same shot of the San Francisco Bridge or whatever. Yeah. And his career pivoted against his will, but he needed the money.
Yeah.
So he could explain that ghost at the same time suppressing Shane's ghost. So when Shane's ghost comes out, it's much more shocking and might lead into Bobby's behaviour, the way that he's so cynical and he's just trying to enforce himself into situations like that.
Yeah. That sounds very good. Yes. Yeah, that works. And I like us / them knowing about it beforehand as well. Yeah. And then that's all the worse when that occurs.
Because, maybe like Bobby could do his ghost reveal and then in a dramatic fit, so I'm going to the bar or I'm going to the list. And then he leaves and then the conversation carries on. Maybe he comes back from the bar with his drinks and
they're like sort of hugging a bit. Yeah.
Hugging Shane a bit, but you don't know why. And that annoys him even further.
Yeah, he's like, he's putting it on again for crying out loud. He never stops, does he, man? Yeah.
Another thing I had, which might be a little bit too sweet or saccharine for the end, and I definitely ripped this off of Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. I actually really like that film. What if Shane doesn't take the picture of the stag, but takes a picture of the group looking at the stag?
Yeah, well, like that's what I wanted, was something that would
all windswept and
would encapsulate all of them would be ideal, man. So
yes, they all look at the stag and they realise the absolute beauty of this thing that can't be captured unless you capture it for yourself. There's loads of different ways you can end it, but
I like that more because I'd like because when you're looking at that kind of majesty, apart from all of the ardent professionalism that would make you take that photo, like you want to just get lost in it, especially them after everything that they've been through, man. It's not really about a competition or anything anymore. It's about them trying to reconcile with each other. So yes, I like that. I like very much the idea of the three of them being in shot and that being the winning photography, and seeing nature writ upon their faces as opposed to in the photograph itself.
Wicked, nice bit of development. Who have you got for Julia?
Jessie Buckley, or Gemma Arterton, potentially.
Good choices. I had Gemma Arterton in my mind, but not written down. I generally have her in my mind. Jessie Buckley's a really good shout. I have only one written down. I've got Kelly Riley.
What is Kelly Riley? And forgive me.
Kelly Riley was in Eden Lake.
Ah, fantastic.
The lead in Eden Lake.
Yep.
I don't know why. I just immediately, when you said Julie was by the cows on the corner of the field, I can imagine someone in like a barber jacket and a big roll neck.
Yep.
I don't know.
Just bit of a hat.
They would
like
fit that
around the neck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Kelly, Jessie Buckley's a really good shout.
Yes, yeah.
Probably a bit too expensive for this kind of film now. But
absolutely, man. Yeah. But then we have got the cameo of the Hollywood star during the photo shoot that he first breaks down in that could add us a name that would get us an and somebody.
Who would you have for that?
Well, I was wondering because it has to be someone the kind of it's the Johnny Depp perfume advert when he's got a shovel in the desert thing with a bunch of dogs. Yeah. And I was like, that would probably make me lose my mind if I had to shoot that kind of a thing. So it has to be someone like obviously a little bit lovely.
Yeah, it just needs to be the thing that sparks off the journey, right? I think it's difficult because you'd want the photo shoot to be ridiculous but not comedic, because immediately I thought Channing Tatum, but I think if you had someone, it's so distracting to have Channing Tatum in that, role that would be so comedic. He would be great, but it would be so comedic and just shift the tone of the film too far.
Yeah. Because this is still in the the Luke being sad part of the movie kind of a thing as well. We want to kind of establish that when it gets light later,
and also because the film's about people's perceptions, people not being who you expect them to be. Like Shane's not who Bobby expects them to be. Bobby's not who he expects himself to be. That kind of thing.
Absolutely.
What if which I'm sure would be the case most of the time, the model on the photo shoot was just incredibly professional, just super professional, everything right. But what gets to Bobby is just the middle management of this shoot. They wanted it outside. They wanted it natural light. All the things that you shouldn't do on a shoot because you can't control them have been enforced on him, and it all goes wrong, and he takes it out on the movie star.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like it starts raining. They're losing the light, and it's just this isn't right, and I'm being forced to do it. And all these people admittedly around the creatives. If you've ever been on a few shoots with agencies, I've done a few. They can be really good fun, but there's also just, you can tell immediately there's 20 or 30 people that just do not need to be there. And it just slows everything down. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, and that plays more to like Bobby's arrogance that will haunt him throughout the movie, and that he's like, I should just be doing this. What the fuck are all you guys doing? And like, and taking it out on people that he shouldn't be. Exactly that.
He's taking out the wrong person, because the contrast in that scene is that the model, the actor or whomever, is probably getting frustrated internally, but they're being so professional about it. They're getting the wind in the face, they're getting the rain and whatever it is.
But still looking amazing.
And that also would lead into him taking it out on the model, would lean into him taking it out on Shane, because Shane hasn't done anything to him. It's just his own
his projections of what he thinks is going on with Shane.
So there's a kind of a repetition, or a kind of between the model at the start and Shane's behaviour.
And this time he actually learns, despite despite being in quite a hard way. Yeah.
It's coming together.
Directors.
Oh, we haven't done the old man.
Oh well, I've
got two.
Okay, well, I was going for, first off, it was Peter Mullen, but he might be a bit too scary, but he is very good at being sweet as well.
Sunshine on Leith.
Exactly. So I think he'd be very good. Brian Cox would be...
I've definitely got Brian Cox.
Absolutely, man. Fuck off, chef. That kind of just... Get the fuck up. I want someone like when he rouses Bobby, it's like your mum or dad did when you were hungover and they were so flipping angry you vomited on the sofa. For example, a situation I'm completely fantasizing and fabricating. Of course, no. And that is the kind of tough love that he is shown throughout the thing, throughout the entire thing by Brian Cox / Peter Mullen, who decides instead of kicking you out and making your situation, which is clearly very bad, a lot worse, I'm going to give you a hand and get a few fences fixed, for free at the same time.
Nice. I now have three. I'm just, and then this is, bollocks. He died. Oh, that's sad. Okay, well, I'm down to two now. Sorry. One of them, I was going to put Albert Finney.
Oh.
He died.
Yes, he unfortunately did. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Maybe last appears as the groundsman in Skyfall or something,
yes.
I think, man. Yeah.
So he's off the board.
Yeah. I mean, good news for Brian Cox. He's quite pricey. He's a bit maybe too famous now, man. I think Mullen would fit the Rafe Spall. That's the level, although Buckley, again, is slightly stratospheric.
My other guy, and he might be a bit too old.
No, it's fine. There's no top limit as long as he's still kicking, man.
My guy is James Cosmo. Now, James Cosmo is an older dude. He's usually the big, bluff, old Scots dude. He was in.
Is he in Game of Thrones?
He's in Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
he is. Who is he in Game of Thrones? He's on the wall. He's one of the.
Yes, man.
He's
Beautiful beard.
He's Jorah Mormont's dad.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sort of gazing lovingly at a picture of him, man. He would be fantastic, and he's a perfect look as well, man. Yeah. Okay.
He can be quite. I reckon he can be quite tender.
And he, no offense to Brian Cox again, like he's more our level of what we're after for this movie, I think, man. So that's like that. That's the main players. Director-wise, I was thinking Ben Wheatley because he's really good at camping films and the outdoors.
Is that your... Yeah, but he would bring a dark edge to it, wouldn't he?
Well, because I was like, because he is, and I was, I'm being silly, but I also do think he captures the outdoorsiness of us and this country amazingly well, even in something like Kill List or whatever, man. The way he films and enjoys the forest and these countryside settings and the way he films them as well. I'm thinking Sightseers obviously is the sort of pinnacle of this. But a field in England. There's loads of tents in it. Like, do you know what I mean?
We'd get Reece Shearsmith for cheap.
That's kind of what I was thinking as well. We can probably shoehorn him in as well as a sort of package deal, man.
All right. Done. Nice change of pace from the films that we've been pitching. I think that's really lovely. It's nice to stretch our wings. And I felt like I was out there. Like I can picture it. I can see them walking around and taking their pictures. And I really like that. That might be one of my favourites that we've done so far. There's so much potential. And I like the way that we developed it.
Yes. Yeah, well, it needed some, obviously, as always, from me, man. But yeah, no, I wanted to not be what I was previously and bring a bit of sunshine to the proceedings.
Okay. Thank you so much for One Hart. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. And so we're going to go on to my horse now, which is called Dark Side Thunder. And the surprise I said that I would spring is about to be sprung.
Okay, amazing at last, man.
It's not so much of a surprise, especially not now after we've just gone through One Hart. Because one of the things I really enjoy about this process, and especially in One Hart, is when we work together, we start collaborating, we start developing. I think that's just gives it a little bit more fun.
Frisson.
And energy, a bit of frisson. And in no way does that mean that I haven't fully prepared a pitch for Dark Side Thunder. I
wasn't even gonna. Like, don't mention the fact you've only got 2 bullets left if you're facing an army, Graham.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't know that. I'm a sentry gun in Aliens. You are the Horde of Aliens. You don't know how many bullets I've got on my barrel, baby.
For those who can't see,
you're also James Brown. Get up! 1, 2, 3. Ha! So yes, I've got my pitch, but I thought I've got beginning, I've got end, I've got sequel bait, second act. I thought we could work on the second act together.
Okay.
How do we get from where we've set up to where we need
we're going to finish off? So you're going to give us a start. You're going to give us a sweet little taste of the start, and then we're going to have like this beautiful dessert at the end.
Yeah,
and we're going to make our main meal in the middle, man. Okay, I dig that.
And also because, as you know, and our listeners will know that this is just the beginning of this. We're still finding our feet.
Absolutely.
Still playing with the format. So why not just play around a bit, see what happens, experiment.
Have some fun. Let's go.
Have some fun. Okay. So this is my pitch for Dark Side Thunder, a film quite a way away in tone and style than
One Hart.
One Hart. As you can probably guess from Dark Side Thunder, the genre that I'm going to lean into.
I mean, it's got to be.
What's it got to be?
There's got to be action or something, hasn't it, man?
It's pretty full on action.
It's got to be. It has to be. It's such a good name.
I'm going full on action. I can tell. I'll tell you the other things afterwards that I was thinking of.
Yeah,
but they're all action, like the concepts.
I have a couple of other things for One Hart. We can whack for some extended editions, man. Nice. So no problem at all, mate.
Okay. Dark Side Thunder, Act 1. Washington, 1988. Richard Darkside Moonahan. Yeah, there we go.
Moonahan, wonderful. Green light. You can stop there, Graham. It's fine.
I can stop. Richard Darkside Moonahan is an undercover cop on the edge and in too deep. He's known to blur the lines between himself and his undercover assignments and his willingness to throw himself into the more unsavoury parts of the business. And that's why he's been given the nickname Darkside at the
He gets off on it. It's his forte.
That's his forte.
Yeah, okay.
In too deep. It's all go, all or nothing, no quit kind of thing. So we meet him 18 months into an assignment to get in with a low-level crew who are importing, cutting and distributing drugs and whatnot around Washington. He's worked his way up and is now like middle management kind of thing. He's not at the top. He's not doing the mook work or anything like that. So he's running a small crew, but he's also getting a little bit too high on his own supply because that's what's needed, that he thinks that's what's needed to get in.
And he's the only one doing the job. It's if he left, no one else would be doing it. Yeah,
exactly. And he's got to taste the products when they do deals and stuff like that. He's got a crew around him. But the way his justification to himself and to the bosses and the pen pushers at City Hall is that he's close to the big break. He believes that it goes all the way up to the
every
tippy top.
Sniff gets him close to the top.
Exactly.
Man.
It's all getting up to close to the tippy top. In no way is this cocaine-induced paranoia. This is a professional instinct,
or confidence,
right?
for that matter.
Yeah. This is a professional instinct, right? Okay, so that's how
Moonahan's a very confident man, isn't he?
He's a very confident man. He talks a lot. He's very quick. He's always chewing gum. I've never seen him eat gum or put gum in his mouth. He's always chewing.
He's just chewing it.
He's always chewing.
Got no tongue left.
Yeah. We have very gossipy meetings at the precinct.
Yeah, oh God, look at his slacks. Can't believe he's wearing those slacks.
So we meet him like doing a little shady little drug. That's like the introduction of the character. You learn a little bit about him, right?
Yeah.
Cut to New Orleans. Randy
Nice.
Thunder Rollins. Randy Thunder Rollins is a trusted driver who works for anyone who needs something dropped off or delivered, especially stuff off the radar. He plays all the angles and he plays all the sides off against each other. But people don't really mind. He gets the stuff done, but he's also quite cocky.
He's a good time guy as well.
He's a good time guy.
Completely.
He's a bit smarmy. He's a bit charming. So they don't mind. And he always delivers, right? But he's making his moves off the grid to start up his own thing, get his own crew going, to kind of go out on his own. So yeah, he's cocky and fearless to the point of recklessness. He loves his life, and the danger is just a part of it. So cut back. So what we do is setting up.
So we've seen both of their intros, basically.
Yes,
now,
basically the intros.
Yeah, okay.
Darkside Moonahan, Thunder Rollins. So shit. It's amazing. Okay, so then Richard Moonahan is about to do a deal when it all goes south. He's setting his the next step up. This is going to be the bus that's it's going to put his crew on the map within the thingy, and it's also going to give him the intel because he's going to level up now. This is going to be it.
He's going after the main suppliers.
His crew are really up for it. He's up for it because he gets the intel to get him even higher in the chain. But then the deal goes south for whatever reasons, and loads of feds just bust in, and it all goes to hell. And Richard is trying to calm everybody down. Put your guns down. And then the SWAT team that are in there just go off the chain. They just start wasting everybody. Massive firefight ensues. The SWAT team aren't arresting anyone, just bare executing.
Fools.
They are cooking fools, man. So they're just executing straight away off the books kind of thing. Richard maintains his cover during the shootout. He kills some SWATs. He's got to keep it cool. It's a really tricky situation to be in. And within his crew, there's another undercover agent as well, like a partner kind of thing, who's a bit lower in the crew.
Yeah.
They get shot dead, murdered, and Richard is eventually cornered in the shootout, and he surrenders, thinking, well, nothing's going to happen to me. I'm a crime, but I have to surrender to maintain my cover.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Cut back to New Orleans. Randy Thunder Rollins. He's doing a simple don't ask, don't tell drop somewhere in the swamps. So he's transporting some cases via, one of those badass airboat things with the
with the big thing on the back, the police academy ones.
Yeah, police academy ones.
Yeah.
So there's a few of those going around, and that drop also goes south. It's hijacked, and he manages to escape And some of his friends get killed, but he manages to get out of it. He doesn't know who's hijacked them or the double cross. He has no idea. So he delivers the package, demanding to know who he wants to know about it. Like, who is this for? I've risked my life. My crew are dead. Who is this package for? Right? He's never asked this before. But it's just like a step too far.
Yeah.
It was supposed
They
to
crossed his code.
They crossed his code. It was supposed to be a milk run, and nothing goes south when old Thunder Rollins is on the coast.
Rolling into town.
Yeah. The buyers give him some extra cash and then thankful for just the small thing that he's delivered, but they tell him to forget about it. Forget about it. It's just New Orleans.
It's not your problem, kid.
It's not your problem.
These things happen out here.
You can either take the 5 large on top of your fee, or you can take the 6 that are in the barrel.
Exactly.
So, that kind of thing.
You're not going to worry about this. Let the Gators take care of the rest, man.
And back we go. So we can see with like these two storylines are kind of running in parallel at this time. We're cutting back and forth through the major actions. So Richard is now in a transport back to the precinct. So he's in the back of the SWAT van or whatever, and he's going fucking mad at the cops for busting in and just blowing his cover. Like, what the hell's going on? Why are you doing this? I saw some of you guys.
Where's your superior officer? You guys playing at you clowns?
Giving him the code, giving them the code that he's undercover. I don't know what it is.
Out.
Swordfish or whatever. The password is always swordfish. We can't believe that it's been sanctioned like that. And then the truck takes an unexpected turn. It zigs when it should have zags.
Yeah. The precinct this way. They're going that way. Yeah.
There's a sign that's like the docks. The precinct, the docks.
Drowners leap.
Drowners leap. And so he goes the other way, and he's about to like spring into action, and he just gets like a rifle butt in the back of the head. And then cut back to New Orleans. Randy has gone on a bit of a drinking binge, really. He's taken the money.
He's lost his crew, of course.
He's lost his crew. He's lost his best mate. He's gone on a bit of a drinking bender. But something about it is just sticking in his craw. Something stinks. So Richard wakes up in a warehouse. He's interrogated about who he really is and what he knows. And Richard, of course, resists the torture and the interrogation because, he's pretty tough. And then his sergeant arrives on the scene, and it's revealed that the sergeant obviously is part of the corruption because it's got to be. It always is, isn't it? He's been using Richard's intel to make his own moves against other outfits and grow a cabal of crooked cops in the city to be like the go-to outfit for shifting drugs and guns and whatnot. So when other operations in other states or countries need to get things through to
like
Washington,
if Columbia
or whatever,
are going to ring, they're rigging him now.
They're rigging him now because they can get it in. He's in Washington. He's got access now to, mayors, politicians, whatever.
Kind of like the New York taxi company or whatever it was, that off the books, massive
That's from
layers
Usual
of
Suspects.
corruption. Yes, that's the Badger.
Yes, that's 100% what I was thinking of.
Absolutely.
New York's finest taxi service.
Yeah, that's the best.
So good. Yeah. So good. Anyway, he's about to get executed. Richard, doesn't give away anything. Of course he doesn't. But he's kind of getting the way that he's answering questions, the way he's making them talk. He's getting the intel himself, like small little details that he's picking up.
Give them enough rope, they'll hang themselves,
exactly.
man. They think he's going to get off or whatever.
Yeah, and he knows that the longer that they beat him or whatever, the other crew that are hanging around, they're just going to start talking to each other. So he's going to pick up a name, even if it's just a name of a hood, or he's going to pick up an address, or he's going to pick up something. So if he can just take a knee and take the punches and all
Hansel and Gretel, baby.
Yeah,
crumb by
he can
crumb.
just get crumb by crumb. He can get it all. But anyway, it goes on, and the sergeant's like, "Oh fuck it, I'm just going to execute him. He's not giving me anything." So it's goodbye. It's time for the old, what do they call it? Dirt nap. It's
dirt nap. Yeah,
it's time for the old dirt nap, kid. And of course, in these kind of films, he's just
6 foot holiday or whatever it is. Yeah.
6 foot holiday. That sounds like a B-side to Electric Avenue.
I'll be remixing that later. Sorry, this audio for the podcast is not going to get any better because I'm going to use my Audacity skills to re-record that song for you for the next week.
That's fine. Please do. He's just about to get about to get executed by the sergeant. And the sergeant's phone rings. That last minute reprieve. Sergeant takes the call. Richard.
Yeah.
Richard cannot hear the
other
caller.
Yeah.
But the sergeant out of nowhere just starts speaking like Creole or something like that. Some very distinct dialect or a very distinct kind of accent or something, and like dropping words that he knows. Like, hang on a minute, this is a clue.
Yeah.
So the phone goes down, and Richard, obviously, and that kind of thing. By that time, he's picked his lock and whatever, and
of course,
he busts out. Big action scene, or a kind of escape scene.
Yeah, a cool like ninja, but kind of big action scene with some neck snaps and a few things like that. Preferably,
exactly. And the sergeant like scrabbles away, and it's he escapes. Richard escapes. This is where it starts getting thin on the ground. He's got the accents. He's got these little words that he knows because of the dialect, and he knows it's from New Orleans or a certain part of New Orleans.
Yeah.
So he gets in his car. He maybe he fakes his own death or something like that. Like he blows his car. I don't know. Whatever.
Well,
he
just goes on the escape. It is apparent that he has died. In the Rock, Sean Connery diving off the side, big explosion, that kind of a thing. There ain't no way a guy had lived through that.
Yeah, exactly. Bring me the body. There ain't no body.
He's in the clear. He can now start to rebuild his case. Start pulling at that clue, man. That little thread that he got.
So he's got the thing back to New Orleans.
Maybe has he ever been to New Orleans before? Is it an old stomping ground?
Wow.
Any of his old crew, something like that? Okay, sorry, I will cool my jets, mate.
Okay,
I'll rein in my gators.
He gets back into New Orleans. He's heading back to New Orleans. Meanwhile, Randy Rollins. So he's been making some moves around town. He's been asking about things, just trying to figure it out. Like, who is he trying to chase down some of his leads, trying to figure out what the fuck went wrong. Who was this stuff for, right? So he's making some rumbles as well. Stuff happens. That's what I've written here. Stuff happens.
Right. Like in the stuff happens.
Stuff happens.
You just reminded
we can figure out what. Right?
Yeah, okay.
And then there's the end of the first act set piece. Like it's in a club or a jazz bar or whatever, with the mezzanine where the bad guys are up there behind glass doors and
VIP area only, sir. That kind of
Yeah. So Randy's in the club, Richard's in the club, running their own investigations, unaware of each other. Right. Some big fight breaks out. Someone obviously is going to get thrown out of the office and land on the band or something like that. Crash. The lights go off. Needle scratch, even though it's a live band. All that kind of stuff. Big fight.
Well, they put a record on and then scratch it to show how impactful that falling out of the window was. Yes.
Big old scrap. Big old proper bar fight.
I love a bar fight so much. Yep, fantastic. Yep. We're talking chairs over the back, pool cue snapped over people's arms, all of that kind of malarkey, man. And so much sugar glass, you can barely move.
So much. It's not going to be a brutal club scene like in Collateral where people are just going like, wait, this is going to be a bit more like
no innocent people. Like as the fight breaks out, like the sensible, like normal people just run to the sides, leaving only like the goons and the bastards, man. Yeah,
you'll get all those amazing bits like someone grabbing a bottle off a cocktail waiter's tray and smashing over someone's head, hitting the wrong person, and then that starts another sub fight and all these things going on. It's a massive brawl, right? And it ends when Richard Moonahan and Rick Robbins, they're fighting and trying to get to where maybe they're both after the same thing. Like
I think they slide underneath a pool table is what I can see. I can see that's how they meet. Yeah. They're like sliding across broken glass and like spilled beer and then bang into each other's shoulders or something like that.
Like big beef. And then the shoulders connect and the pool table cracks in half.
It's like the Predator handshake but with shoulders.
Yeah. So maybe they're chasing after the one lead. They've both got the same lead or something like that through this bar fight, whatever.
Yeah. If you have the lead act like the diamond in the beginning of...
yes, exactly. Temple of Doom.
Thank you.
Yeah. So they come up to each other and they turn around and they look at each other and they freeze. Spark of recognition. And then Rick Rollins just lays out Rich. Just lays him out. Bam. Right.
Excellent.
So and then that's the end of the scene. Cuts black. Next scene. Dingy sink filled with ice. Someone puts their hand in the ice to kind of cool it.
Oh, yeah, you see the blood. Yeah.
Scoops out some ice, puts it in a blanket, ties it up for like an ice pack, walks through like a trailer or like a dingy New Orleans apartment.
Yeah.
The ice thing.
Yeah, I can hear some music drifting in through the open window,
exactly.
Man. Yeah.
The blue light through the slats.
The neon, absolutely.
He throws it down and he throws it onto the sofa, onto a lump. The lump stirs and it wakes up. And it's Rich. And then he says, put that on your head. And Rich puts it on his head. He says, it's good to see you, brother. And he says, it's good to see you too again. So they're actually brothers.
There we go, man. Yeah.
That's the twist. They're estranged brothers.
Beautiful.
One of them taking the mother's name. obviously one of them sticking with the family business, which was Rick, who stayed. Is it Rick? Randy, sorry.
Randy, yeah. Rick's our Washington boy. Randy's in New Orleans.
Yeah. So they come back and they've obviously they're frictious, angry, don't really trust each other, but they're still brothers. So.
How long since they last? How estranged are we talking here?
Oh, 10, 20 years. Something went down.
Perfect. Right. Maybe I was thinking the family involved in crime or something.
Yeah, I think that's
family, why he left and the other guy stayed.
Family business, crime, family business. But I was thinking that both the brothers went to the academy, but Randy flunked out of the academy because he was bent, and then maybe Richard didn't turn a blind, didn't turn him in, didn't rat on his brother,
of course,
but didn't protect him when he could have.
Yep, he got out. That was his choice, because it's like, I protect my brother and I compromise my beliefs.
I protect my brother and we both go into the family business.
And I ain't prepared to do that, because I'm built to catch bad guys. Yeah. And I'm going to prove that when I go to Washington.
Mum was a cop or something like that. He followed in that vein. So there is that friction. But anyway, so obviously they don't team up, but they share the information. This is where the second act gets a bit sketchy. They still conduct their investigations, but they're kind of working together, kind of double-crossing each other, kind of not really trusting where it's going to try and figure out. And then there's the second act, big action sequence. Don't know how we get there, but we get there. There's some punch-ups in between, some little mini action sequences they're scaling up, trying to find out, going to these swamps, trying to find out where the shipments are going into Washington and how the network, they're trying to piece together the network because they're both connected in some way. We don't know sure why. And then you have to have that bonding scene where they have a drink together at the bar after one of them's got the shit kicked out of them or something like that. And they talk about the family life and they talk about dad being crooked or dad being part of the business, mum dying or mum leaving. And they've also got an estranged sister that she died, and it was very hard for the family as well. So there's lots of fractures.
Yeah, and she may have died as a result of the criminal activity, which gave Richard another excuse to get the hell out potentially as well.
Yeah,
a bit more motivation for him to leave.
A bit more motivation. Yep. So they do, by voicing these ghosts of the past together, they kind of get together.
And they're also being further thrust into each other's trajectories, because they are, whether they like it or not, the only two people they can trust.
And then there's a big action set piece in the second half, which I can't figure out. They find this is the shipment, or this is the routes, this is the people that are doing it. And I want to have a big fist fight, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, but on an articulated truck.
Yeah, on the roof.
On the top. Yep. On the roof, inside, hanging off the side of it.
Hanging on to the brake wires, and then the brake wires are going flying out and shooting all of the stuff everywhere. Like not a driver, we covered this earlier.
Yeah, maybe one of them is a really good driver, which is Randy, and then one of them, Richard, may be a really good shot, but in that sequence, the other one has to drive, and the other one has to do the fighting or something. So they're out of their depth, but still kind of working together.
And even more so because they have to, because they are not in their elements.
Yes, exactly, and they nick, or they either destroy or they steal some of the product from this.
And also the stealing of that shipment will bring people to them as well. So they are now going to start turning up on people's radars, and it's going to be probably a bit less of them seeking out things and a bit more of them dealing with the repercussions now they have stirred the hornet's nest enough.
Which leads into the third act, whereby Randy gets kidnapped because the people that told him, you've got the 5 large or the 6 in the gun, that from way back, that's come back to him now. And maybe the cops have come, they found out that he's sniffing and he's gone too far now. So just before that scene, there'll be maybe something where Richard sold him out a little bit, or they've had a fallout.
He needs to be abandoned, and that's how he becomes vulnerable enough to be caught. So Richard has done what he did last time, and he's got the hell out when...
Yeah, well, maybe after all that, Richard's found out that actually Randy's involved in it way more than he said before. Before he said, I'm just a pickup driver.
It's just a bit extra. Normally I'm tending bar down at Jumping Jacks on a Friday.
It's just a little bit extra, but really he's a lot further in it than
and loves being in it as well, man.
Exactly, loves being in it. And that's part of, maybe in that fight he doesn't kill one of the goons because the goon recognises him or is a friend or something like that. So they go their separate ways. Randy gets kidnapped, taken to the bayous out there to some shack. That'll be like the third act, the finale where he has the choice. Yeah, he's going to go rescue his brother and to be damned with procedure or the case or anything like that. He's so far away from the case
too late
now. The choice is to go back to Washington and expose all the corruption, or stay, possibly die and save his brother, and then we don't know.
And we'll deal with the rest after. Look, dude, the minute he crossed the Washington state line, man, he had made that choice. He knows what he needs to do,
exactly. So he's got to go back and rescue his brother. Obviously, they do, and it's a big fight in the dark, maybe in some rainy storm, in the swamps and the bayous, and there's
swirling alligators all over the place.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a ton of alligators.
I keep saying alligators. I'm so excited. The minute you said New Orleans.
I've got alligators written about 8 times on my little document. So yeah, someone's going to get eaten by a gator or something like that. There's going to be chases on airboats at night. Big old kind of action set piece. Right. And I think maybe throughout the film as well, like at the very beginning when Richard was getting tortured and the guy was speaking in Creole, we don't know who he was speaking to. We don't know who Randy, who organised the ambush on Randy, or what that product was or where it was going. They wouldn't tell him. So all the way through, they're drip feeding that there's something out there. There's a big bad. There's a reason where this is going. It's not just
a bunch of drugs here and there or anything like that.
There's something bigger. There's something bigger going on, but we can't quite figure it out. So we have this big shootout, this big fight, action scene, blah, 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 blah. The bad guys all die. The good guys survive. And then kind of...
Randy is shot, or Richard is shot. Someone has taken a shoulder wound or it's straight through. You're going to be fine, kid.
Yeah. So we have the big explosion. Guy gets shot, and the bad guys are kind of dead. The product is destroyed. They kind of sequel bait. They've got rid of that level, but they know that this goes further, but we don't know.
Yeah,
it's going to go up. Sequel bait, but they've secured the narrative of this film. Okay, but there is a post-credit scene.
Okay, good. Hit me with it. Yeah.
So we can flesh out the bits leading up to that bit. This is the bit. We've got the beginning bit, a bit of the middle bit, and the post-credit, or the end bit. Post-credit scene. It's an alternative perspective of the final fight.
Right? Okay.
So one of the cases of money, I think, falls into the bayou or something, and some henchman gets it and escapes and runs off into the bayou, and everyone was actually, but they don't see him. He just gets away, and we kind of follow this dishevelled lackey who gets to the real big bad's place at the end with the case and says, I got it. This is it. Similar to Randy at the beginning, they don't execute him; they reward him. At least you got here, and thank you for the information. And then you don't see the real big bad in shadows.
Yeah.
Takes it, big bad, and then steps out, and you see that it's a woman, and she says, and he tells her what the story, blah blah blah. And she says, so my baby brothers are starting to be grown ups.
Oh wow!
And then she looks out, and she's in the Colombian mountains, and she's got this massive paramilitary training camp going on.
like the place they raid in the beginning of Predator or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but big. I'm thinking like Saruman on the horse, looking out and all these. But yeah, it's a typical kind of A-team setup. The idea being that it's a big family drama now, because obviously the sister is the big bad, or she went her own way. She's the elder sister. She went her own way. Maybe she became a spook. Maybe she got turned by the CIA and disappeared. And the middle brother, Richard, went into the police force to avenge her death, or to find out what had happened to her, but really to kind of save people and be a cop.
And the younger one, seeing the fruitless efforts of both of the older siblings, decided, well, I'm going to put my lot in with the criminals, man.
Yeah, I'm staying back to look after Dad. Yep. Or get in with Dad. Or I just like both, it around here. I don't.
One is the other.
Not as bright. Maybe not as bright as the brother or something like that. But yeah, maybe she's a spook of some kind who's just completely lost her way and has just got this Colonel Kurtz style.
Yeah, she's gone rogue, man. Absolutely rogue. Yeah. But it's still fulfilling enough of the CIA's wants and needs that she is still too valuable to be taken out, man, which is why she is flourishing and the brothers have to go in and confront her, man. Yeah. This Thanksgiving, dinner's going to be tough.
This Memorial Day. There we go. So that is my idea for Dark Side Thunder.
We're going pretty balls to the wall action with this, aren't we, man?
I think so.
There's no other.
But I also think,
how gritty, how much are we flirting with the narc feel of things compared to that more?
Yeah, it does have a touch of Copland to it. Yeah, it does.
Mangold, you know, but fight on top of a lorry. No,
yeah,
Shane Black.
I probably,
it's got that. I'm tempted for both.
Shane Black would be a good pick, actually, because he could do the humour quite well, of the buddying up thing and the relationships quite well, I think. So yeah, I think Shane Black would be a really nice shout. John, if he wasn't in prison or maybe dead, John McTiernan would.
I think, is now out of prison.
I'm probably looking for work. We'll get it for cheap,
dude. 100%. Him and we get Snipes thrown in, I guess, with that deal if we're. While we're at it.
Do we have to?
No. He won't work
okay,
well.
So,
he just comes along
all right,
with any XComs.
John McTiernan can do it. Shane Black would be a good pick. Let's do some casting. Now, I was going to position the casting like this. We do present-day casting.
Okay.
We do 1988 casting.
Well, you've already seen into my mind cinema where I was watching it all in the 80s with an 80s cast kind of a thing, man. Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. Which one do you want to do first?
Let's go now, because I was struggling more with the now casting. Not struggling, but because all of the beautiful, muscular, sprayed with water, glistening people from the 80s were running around my head, it made it harder for me to focus on who I might pick now, man. So I'd be interested to chat that through first, I think.
Okay. I think for Randy Rollins, I was thinking quite heavy set, big guy. I was thinking like John Cena.
Cena is... I may have balked at this before watching Peacemaker, the show.
Peacemaker is so good.
And since watching that, Cena is in whatever he fancies being in, man. And he would do... he'd be able to portray that big lunk-esque nature that we want, or that more easily led character compared to whoever our slightly more together, older Richard is going to be, man.
Randy needs to be really charming. Like, if you would... I don't want to take this off the board for the 88 casting, but you'd want Kurt Russell kind
That's
of thing.
All right, yeah, 100%.
You know, that kind of really charming, but on the charming side, but then also on the sleazy side.
Yeah,
and quite fast talking, because he's working all the angles. Everybody likes having him around, and he can think. Even though he doesn't believe that he's particularly intelligent in terms of investigations,
smart,
like he's got street smarts.
Yeah.
Josh Hartnett
would be very good, and he's having a somewhat resurgence thanks to Guy Ritchie at the minute, man. So 100%. Yes.
I like Hartnett a lot
because
I don't really know what action stars are flying around these days.
The temptation is to, and we can't but Gosling would do a really good job of that. And he did such a good job in The Nice Guys that it's really hard for me to look past him as one of the choices for this, because he is so good at hitting that feel-good, non-ironic 80s action film feeling that I kind of want.
Gosling would be really good. I can see him a little sweaty.
And he's so good at being sweaty.
A little sweaty tank top. Sweaty tank top.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah. And he can wear
okay, Gosling.
So
because I think as the film goes on, the Richard Darkside Moonahan's, he's kind of like the Luke Skywalker role in that he is kind of the lead, but it's also a thankless role. Everyone's going to be looking at the Han Solo. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to be looking at Randy. So you'd want a Gosling for that, I reckon.
So who are we picking for Richard in that case? So we want to chill out a little bit. We want to have a slightly more straight-laced. Are we talking like
older brother?
Guy Pearce in LA Confidential, straight-lace? Like not for Guy Pearce for this, he's too old.
No, because he's Darkside Moonhan, so he's someone who goes...
he takes it to the limit, man. He takes it...
Yeah. And he blurs the lines of those limits, so he doesn't really know who he is or what he's supposed to do. Well, he knows what he's supposed to do, but he doesn't know what part of him to give and what part of him to keep for himself. I mean, I want him in everything, but I would maybe have Jake Gyllenhaal. He can be strung out. We've seen Nightcrawler.
I'm just sorry. I was thinking of Jake Gyllenhaal.
You're just thinking of Jake Gyllenhaal.
All I can see whenever I mention him or I think about him is his smile from Spider-Man and how beautiful it is. So I always take a few seconds of just sort of shutting down, basically. Yeah. So forgive me. He would be very good next to Gosling as well, and I think that they would be able to work well together with their sort of like the same kind of energies, man.
Yes.
Because they're both very good at being very wacky and being very, very pulled in.
We could do, much as the film was a bit bland, but we could do a Grey Man reunion and have Chris Evans as one and Gosling as the other.
Well,
because they had a really nice energy together.
We could maybe, dare I say it, improve upon that Grey Man dynamic that was presented to us a while back, man.
88 casting?
Berenger is the big bad.
Yes.
You mentioned it earlier, but it's got to be Kurt Russell. And but then I'm immediately playing Tequila Sunrise in my head, and we can't continue that casting to its logical conclusion, man.
No, Gary Sinise. Or no, I got it. Kurt Russell and Bill Paxton.
Yep. Yeah, no, we can finish the podcast now.
I mean, it's been a lovely podcast.
Yeah, good horses. What? Yeah, 100% Paxton.
Other things I had for Dark Side Thunder, before we get on to our small pitches, and you can tell me about some of your other options you had for One Hart. I was going to do a sequel to Blue Thunder, and there would be a bad version of Blue Thunder.
Amazing.
A bit like Firefox.
Yeah.
And they would have to battle it. They'd have to battle it.
Yep.
That was one thing.
I like that, and I also like the idea of pitching a sequel for something that already exists based on the horse name. I think that is, I like that idea in itself as well. Yeah, absolutely.
The other one I had, I'll only do two. The other one I thought was Dark Side Thunder is a really good name for a tag team.
As in, we're talking WWE/F.
Yes.
Excellent, man. Excellent. So would you go were you thinking Foxcatcher sort of drama or some kind of Glow-esque celebration of the whole?
Something a bit more of a celebration. Something a bit more kind of fun and freewheeling and
you could do a Boogie Nights light sort of
exactly.
Without all of the really bad things that happen in that movie. I was like Boogie Nights light is like saying Apocalypse.
But then the more I thought about Dark Side Thunder as a tag team and thinking about a Boogie Nights thing, the more I thought, but without the dark side of Boogie Nights thing, there's a dark side of wrestling is really dark.
Well, that's the thing.
All my heroes. It's been difficult to avoid that without it being quite offensive. That you're not talking about that stuff.
Yes. That
glorifying all the good stuff. I don't know. So I elected for straight action.
I love that. I really genuinely got really excited watching that in my head as we were talking about it, man. So that is much appreciated. And you had to with a name like that, man.
And any other alternatives for One Hart?
So my other One Hart pitch, which I was tempted to, I was sort of horribly tempted to continue to its illogical conclusion. It was I was pitching it as a Lifetime channel movie.
Okay.
In which a surgeon and her husband, who are working together on some incredibly advanced transplant ideas, methods, and technologies. Her husband dies, and she believes has come back to her reincarnated in the body of this deer that keeps visiting the lake house that the two shared.
Right.
And over the course of the film, she begins to bond with this deer, and it starts to leave her clues to the previous relationship and prove that it is in fact her husband reincarnated.
How does it leave her clues? Two scrapes of the hoof. Yes. Can we have a scene with the stag doing a Ouija board?
Dude, the marker would fit really well between its front hoof, wouldn't it? Yeah. They're made for Ouija. And over the course of the film, and also I think she'll have a congenital heart issue herself, which they were both striving to cure.
Ooh, really hammering the theme here, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is a Lifetime film. I ain't holding back here, man. And then in the end, the deer will break into the lake house, and it will find the flash drive that the husband left with all of the rest of the research that allows her to get the transplanted heart from the deer to her, thus joining her back with her dead husband.
So she has her husband's reincarnated heart from the deer back into her body.
Yes.
Can humans have
or something like that? And they were starting off with pigs, but then he's got even further, and it's absolutely incredible. And that is where that's all stored on the flash drive. The deer brings it. She shoots the deer, takes his heart, and puts it in her chest, thus reuniting her.
She does open heart surgery on herself.
I think by that time she'll probably take it to a trusted colleague or something like that. Maybe as tempted as I am to have an open heart cabin scene with the deer on the table.
I think the deer should get in an accident or sacrifice itself.
Yeah, it jumps in front of her car as she's coming back from shopping.
Exactly. It jumps in front
and
of
it's got the flash drive in its mouth. It's got the information to give her the transplant. There we go.
It comes through the windshield, face first. And then its big antlers, like, pin either side of the woman. So it's face to face with her with the flash drive in its mouth.
And then it's like dying cough. It just falls into her open, shocked hand.
And she just puts it into the car. Amazing.
Darling, if you're listening to this, I've died.
I've died.
And I might be a deer.
With any luck, the stag has taken us.
That was where I went first and thankfully did not continue going.
No, I liked what we got. Thank you very much. Should we do some short pictures?
Oh yes, yeah. I've got a nice one-liner.
Okay.
For yours, my man. So you hit me with yours first, please.
Mine's pretty short as well.
It's okay.
Okay. It's basically One Hart. My short pitch for One Hart is the trials and tribulations of a down on his luck inventor of a reflexive polymer or a reflexive metal that nobody wants. It's like a schlubby salesman down on his luck. And a fired sports executive in marketing or something, their great hope was found with loads of drugs or something, and he was fired. And it's their meet cute. Yeah. It's them setting up their agency to try and somehow take the invention that this guy has, this reflective bendy metal, and his marketing noose. And it's the story of how they created Bret the Hitman Hart's sunglasses.
Oh, mate.
So it's Jerry Maguire and Steve Jobs, kind of a mashup thing.
Yeah. Just in one. Yep.
Yeah. Everybody wanted, when I was growing up anyway, everyone wanted Bret the Hitman Hart's wraparound shades.
I can feel them around my head.
Yeah.
Such was the joy when I first put them on, man, back in the day.
That's my One Hart pitch. It's the story of Bret the Hitman Hart's sunglasses.
Right, my one-line pitch for Dark Side Thunder. I Ron sealed this particular one. Can you believe it? Dark Side Thunder, Twister meets Rogue One, an intergalactic storm-chasing crew in the Star Wars universe go out to the darkest quadrant looking for as many of these absolutely insane, ginormous, beautiful intergalactic storms that are occurring all over the galaxy, and in doing so uncover a massive Imperium conspiracy in one of the galaxy's less travelled quadrants.
Yeah.
And so we get, the crew together, chasing the storms. They don't want to be uncovering anything. They want to be chasing storms, man. That's what they do. But they can't help but not turn their back on what they find in the outer quadrants.
Yep. All right. Dark Side Thunder. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Groovy.
Star Wars. We should do an episode where we do a franchise.
Yes.
Like pick a racehorse for each other. Or no, maybe we do one racehorse, same racehorse.
Yep.
Same franchise, 2 different pitches.
Yep.
That could be quite fun.
Yeah. Fast and the Furious for colon, whatever the racehorse is.
Yes, exactly. Amazing. Speaking of racehorses, shall we?
Yeah, we got a couple for next week, I suppose, my man.
Shall we? I've picked a race. I've picked the 140 at Taunton.
The British Racing School 40th Anniversary Celebration Handicap Hurdle. No
Class
less.
5. Class 5. Have you got one?
Hit me first.
Okay, I'm going to give you the Rain King. Rain spelled R-A-I-N.
Thank goodness, man. Like that, thank you. That's not a pun. I was thinking R-E-I-G-N. And my goodness. Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, man. I've now got a Counting Crows song stuck in my head, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's okay. That's okay. I give you in return Broomfield's Cave.
Broomfield's Cave. Okay. If only it was Bromfield. If it was Bromfield, then I would have got that, because Bromfield is Michael Caine's character in Zulu. There's a band called Bromfield's Jacket, named after him because Michael Caine in Zulu never takes off his red jacket throughout the entire film. because he's
a bloody officer.
He's an officer, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Broomfield's Cave. I'm in.
All right.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. We had One Hart and we had Darkside Thunder. We cast those in multiple time periods. We developed stuff. I quite like the developing of what we're going on and what we're doing rather than sitting here listening to a long...
Yeah, we don't want to just dictate. I absolutely agree, man.
I thought it was quite nice.
And it's fun. I so enjoyed, especially Darkside Thunder, man. That was really, really good fun to go through, man. So amazing work. That was cracking.
Thank you. And I loved One Hart. And that One Hart to me arrived almost pretty much complete. It was so lovely. And your tone of detectorists was bang on. Happy with that.
Yes, I'm just beautiful. Enjoy the countryside. Nothing too much more than that, man.
That's so great. Okay, well, thank you so much for that. We will be back, I guess, next week, same time next week. We'll be releasing these when we get round to it. I've got Broomfield's Cave for the 140 at Taunton,
and I have got Rain
King. You've forgotten already.
The Rain King.
The Rain King. That's correct. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. We'll cut to commercial. Cut to commercial.
Yeah. I think I just absolutely, dude. Thank you so much. That was an absolute pleasure. Everyone out there, take care. Enjoy your weeks, including yourself, sir. And I look very forward to chinwagging with you in 7 days' time, mate.
Yeah, man. The next time.
Until then, happy horsing.
Well, there we have it. Another episode of Racehorse Movies is over. We both hope you had as much fun listening as we did coming up with these films and recording our pitches. If you enjoyed this, please share it around with your friends and loved ones. And if it wasn't your thing, I don't know, maybe share it with someone you miffed with. Who knows? If it's not for them either, maybe you two can build some bridges over that connection. But if you did like picking up what we put down and you fancy checking out some more content from us, then head over to TheNeverPress.com to take a gander at our novels, poetry and other bits and bobs. Anyway, that's about enough from us. Hope to have you back next time for some friendly chat and barely thought through pitches at Racehorse Movies. Ta-ta!